All right, so today I'm going to show you how to build a simple web app within WebSim.ai. So I actually created this app for my daughter who's going for a Google Cloud certification, and she asked me for a flashcard website that she could go to and use, and the ones we found online weren't very useful for her. So I showed her a few different options, and I tried this in WebSim, and I created this app. You can see me navigating through it, and these simple flashcards, they flip over like an actual flashcard, nice color change on the back, and you can navigate back and forth. And then there are various different sections you can choose from that apply to that Google Cloud exam. So how I created this was actually really, really simple in WebSim. So you just go up to this bar here and you can see the various different iterations. So I put website with flashcards to prep for Google Cloud Associate Cloud Engineer exam, which is what she's going for. It created me a base version with the flip cards. But then I need to navigate. So I said, make it where I can go to previous cards for review. So it has those previous and next buttons, right? Then I wanted it to be more robust. And so I said, give me 10 flashcards for each section. So you can see there's a drop down with the different sections that might apply to Google Cloud. And then it's giving me 10 cards for each of those, right? And so before we didn't have that. So I'm actually going to show you how to build a really useful app from scratch. So I do breathing exercises and meditation and everything, and I actually need a specialized app to help me with that. So I need like a clock type of app. I needed to make a ticking sound so I can count my breathing time, and I also need a timer so I can track, exactly how long. So I can set a timer for my meditation time along with this little ticking clock sound so that I'm able to actually hear it and count the breaths and everything. So I'm going to type in a simple prompt. And we're going to start a brand new app. So I'm just putting I need a simple web app with a ticking clock sound. Allows me to set the timer to designate how long I want the ticking sound to go. All right. So fairly simple, straightforward. Imagine you're giving this to a coder, and they're going to build you out an app. So I'm going to click this, and in just a matter of seconds, it's going to give you my first iteration. Now, a lot of times you don't get exactly what you're looking for on the very first iteration, but here we go. Already in a matter of seconds, I have something like what I'm looking for, and you can see what time it is where I am. It's 5:49 a.m. But it gives me it looks like a timer, 5 minutes, and I can start the timer. I can toggle the ticking. All right. So I'm going up and down on the time, so that works. I can start the timer. I can toggle ticking. And the ticking, I got an error up there. So the ticking isn't working. But if I start the timer, looks like the timer's actually working. But the ticking is not working. And so that's totally fine. So that's the first iteration. We'll try it again. It looks like there's some functionality, but already we have some general functionality. So let's see what this error is, if it'll show me. All right, so let's go here and let's just kind of iterate on this. So that first version took just a second to get built up. So we have our core. So I'm going to tell it some additional things I need. So I want a button to stop the timer, and I also want a button to be able to reset the timer, right? So it's only got start timer. I didn't give it any specific instructions. I want to see what it would do. So I do want something to be able to pause the timer, reset the timer, and those types of things. So I'm going to give it those instructions, and I'm going to let it know that the ticking is not working. So let's try that and see what we get, and we'll see what it does. So it'll give us a new iteration of this. And I'm actually going to do all this in real time so you see exactly how fast this is, right? I'm not going to cut away or anything like that. You can see how simple and fast this is. So I'm estimating this should take in full maybe 5 minutes or so. All right, so I have my second iteration already, real time. I have my start timer. It start the timer. I can pause the timer. That's working. I can resume the timer. That's working. All right. All right. So those functionalities are working. And then I reset the timer. It starts over. And then I can start the timer again. So perfect. All right. So that's working. But I'm still not getting a ticking sound. So I'm clicking away. Still not getting a ticking sound. All right. So we've got most of the functionality here. I'm pretty sure this thing can do a ticking sound because I've heard other apps with ticking. So we are going to just let it know. Still not hearing the ticking sound. All right. So let's type this in and see what we get. So we need that new iteration, and it's going to go ahead and do it. So we're only on our second iteration with this. Kind of gave it some additional instructions on what I wanted, and let's see what it does for us. All right, and again, this is in real time. You can actually see the clock ticking now. So it's counting down how long this is going to take. All right, so we've got it, and let's click it. All right, we've got some type of sound going. It's not sounding quite like a clock, but it is some type of sound. So I'm happy with that. I may ask it to tweak that in just a minute, but as of right now, we're actually where I wanted to be, and that only took a couple of minutes. All right, so we have a working app with what I want, and let's see, and I'll just kind of do some iterations on it, right? So now I want to make it sound more like a clock, and see if it can get closer to a clock. That doesn't sound quite like a clock, more like just some beeps. So I'll go ahead and type in some further instructions to make this sound more like a clock rather than a beeping sound, which is what we have now. Let's see what it does. But all in all, the general app that I need is complete, right? So I also want to add a little visual. So I want to put like a little image of a clock up top just for some additional visual aesthetics, right? So the base app though is actually done for what I need. So I created an app that I can actually use that I was looking for that I didn't have to go find or do a subscription for or pay for. I've done it in like a couple of minutes with this. Now I'm actually just going to do some further iterations on it to make it a little more, what I prefer, right? But you can see the power of this. So simple, and boom, there it is. So we got our little clock image there. Let's click it. All right, still not exactly like a clock, but I like it. I like the sound, So it works for the purposes of what I need, right? And we have our little clock there. We can start the timer. All that functionality is still working. Pause the timer, reset the timer, right? And it does stop the ticking once I stop and pause and reset. So there you have it, a web app in just a matter of minutes. So go try it out, WebSim.ai.